Hello! So, this tutorial is gonna be so fun. It's always fun for me to paint people that I know, and this picture was taken by a friend of mine. Her name is Gracie Malin, and it was a picture taken of her brother. So, yeah, it's gonna be fun. I don't know if we're gonna use the exact colors from the photo, but we're gonna keep it kind of close. This is part of my Country Life Watercoloring Book. Super fun. There's 21 outlines on watercolor paper, and then I take you through my step-by-step process on how to paint each outline. If you're wanting the book by itself, that's totally fine. If you're also wanting the paints and brushes that I use in my tutorial, it comes in a bundle with these 6 brushes. So yeah, I'll link it below, but if you already have it, that's great too. So let's get going. Something we could do first is the sky, because the background, or like the fence, you could do a darker color and the ground is brown. It's just easier to do a light background, and then we'll come back in afterwards. So I'm gonna grab a good amount of water, and we can mix our color first, or we could just get our entire page wet. I'm gonna mix the color this time around, and I kind of just want it to be like a really diluted light blue, sky blue. If you have an older one of my palettes, the colors are the same, but I do include a little PDF, or not a PDF, just a little sheet of the colors now. So if you don't have one and you want one, email us and we can send you the PDF to this that you can print out and have on hand. But yeah, we're gonna use the sky blue. If you want it to feel a little bit more neutral, less vibrant, you could add a little bit of this brown in. Just like that. Okay, so now I'm going to get my page wet. If you have a bigger brush, you could totally use a larger brush for this. Just be careful not to get inside the lines here. If you go inside the lines on the fence, that's fine. But we are gonna try our best to keep it outside of the cow, and I keep going here. So tell me, do you come from a country family, if you will? How would you describe the way that you grew up? As we paint this, can tell you, I guess, a little bit about me, since I'm just talking to myself here. I grew up in a town called Heber in Utah, and it's the most beautiful valley. I loved growing up there. At the time it was growing, but it still is considered a small town, but now I feel like it has grown so much. And so I was never like, I would not say that I'm a cowgirl by any means, but I had friends that had horses. I did 4-H for a few years when I was younger, doing raising lambs or sheep. Nothing gave me more anxiety than on the show days when you'd have to go in front of the whole crowd and walk the sheep around. I'm glad I did it, but it was definitely, I think, a little out of my comfort zone. But it was fun. I loved growing up in Heber. I've always really liked horses. I mean, I'm not a huge animal person, but there's just something cool about riding horses, I don't know. Very calming, fun, while also like adventurous and intimidating. Very intimidating. I think I'm just gonna like fill in all of this. I'm not gonna care too much of the fence because we gotta move a little faster in order to get to that top section of the sky before it dries. There we go. Okay, so some parts of the paper are puddling, so I'm just gonna pull up that water, dab it off a little bit. Any areas that I see have dried, I'm just adding some more water before we continue. So I have this blue, just kind of dropping it on the top. And if you're wanting it to go down, you can tilt your page and it'll just kind of fall. I really just want it more diluted. Barely any color at all. See how it just gives that really, really light tint of blue? All right. You can pick up any excess puddles. And while we have that, we could do the dirt down here, and then we can move up into these areas. So we're gonna do this brown. This is the umber, fourth one from the bottom, or top, depending on how you have it. And then we're gonna add in some of the ultramarine, cooling it down quite a bit. Maybe a tiny bit, like the tiniest bit of black. And then adding a good amount of water because I want it to be more diluted. And it's just gonna go down here on the bottom. I'm not doing anything crazy technique-wise, I'm kind of just filling it in. If you wanted to add in some more color, you could do like a darker version of this. I'm gonna add in some of this top blue. Cools it down a lot faster, and then this could be like where some of the shadows are in the dirt from the fence. Okay, and you can leave it if you want some of those distinct lines, or you could clean your brush off and dab it on your paper towel, getting the water off, and just kind of pull that color out. I kind of like just letting the water do its thing for the most part. If you're wanting a little bit of like a foggy, like reflective, you could like add some white, kind of gives like a gray tone, and just kind of bring it in there too. And I'm just kind of dabbing it really loosely around, leaving some of that base color to show through. And I'm not even doing it everywhere, I'm just picking some spots and then that's it. All right, let's see. I think we can start working on areas that are not surrounded by something wet. So, which makes it kind of hard because like this Christopher is his name, has the sky that is still slightly damp. So we gotta wait for that. The feet are damp, so I think our best bet is to work on the colors for this bowl, which is, we could grab this brown and add some black to it, towards like a black with a shade of brown. And that can be one of the colors. And the other color, we could grab some salmon down here. And it is mixed a little bit with this gray that we just had. Just like this, and I'm gonna grab a good amount of water to make it very diluted. We're gonna cover the entire bowl, and then we'll come back with the darker colors. Because with watercolor, we work lights to darks. Because once you've gone dark when it comes to watercolor, it is more difficult to lift that off. So you've got to be kind of strategic with the colors that you put down first. Just filling it in flat. We did the longhorn cow just a few videos ago, so if you have done that one before this one, you kind of have an idea of how we're moving forward. We're starting with this lighter color, then we're gonna bring in the darker in the areas that I have drawn out for you. And it actually is, it could work out pretty good to do it while it's still slightly damp so that things blend together a little more and it's not as like stark difference between the two. So you could start with this bottom part of the cow is darker, going up, and all the way up to where this is mapped out. See how the water is kind of making it slightly more loose? And as it starts to dry, it will become a lot more controlled, like this down here. And then his back leg is really dark as well. I'm gonna leave this little shadow here, or like place where the calf or the hoof, and then same here. And then this is where it's a little, you're gonna see the difference between the other cow and this one, is the whole face was dark on the longhorn cow, but the face is actually lighter on this one, minus the ears. So we have the ears are dark, which is so fun because it gives you different ways of painting things. And then around the eyes, kind of going to be covering the entire thing, and then we'll come back in with a darker area once it dries. And then a tiny bit here. Okay, so now that we have that color, we can come in and add some shadows into the lighter section, and really could just use this same color, add a tiny bit more of the gray. And that could be the base. And then we could come in with like some little colors. I think if you wanted to add some yellow, that's what the color or the original is showing. But if you like it just plain like this, then I think that's great too. But we have kind of like a shadow here. A little above the eye, coming down, and on this other side of the nose, here. Coming up from like where this curve is and meeting up with under the chin, that. And then under where he's writing. Could lift off a little. Okay, so I think that looks really good. It has more of a brown tone, when if you're wanting more black, you could come in and add like straight black. Could be your next color. Like back here, where the belly starts, you go under and just kind of move upwards. You could do that as the base, and then clean your brush off, dab off any excess water, and then use the tip of your brush to blend that out. That's how we can add some more contrast to the section. Or if you're wanting to leave it lighter, then you can do that too. But if you're wanting just a little bit extra, this is the way to do it. Using the tip to pull any of that color out that we want to blend. Okay, and this is where too, if you're wanting to add some more detail here, the sides of his nose are darker. The mouth, as well as his eyes. There we go. Little bit of that darker black here. Blending it into okay. I like how that cow turned out. If you're wanting to add a little bit of yellow, this does have a tint of, it's actually like kind of orange. But I'm gonna dilute it down because I don't want it to be super strong. And around the neck area is where you can add in that color. And then kind of around here, slowly down the leg, a little bit here on the face. There we go. All right, I'm gonna stop there. We're gonna move on, and we can do his helmet, which is really easy to do because it's just black. But I kind of feel like we need to do his skin tone first. So let's do his face and hands and arm, and then we can come in with the darker colors. So we have this salmon, can come in with some of this caramel. And then a little bit of blue. And lots of water. And that can be, I think it's a good start. I do want to add a little bit of orange. Or maybe red would be better. Yeah. A little bit of red. Kind of has a pink tone to his skin. Making sure I have control of the space because these areas are smaller. So if you need to grab your paper towel and just dab it off until you don't have a whole lot of excess water, you could do that. And then I'm just filling in his face and forearm. There we go. And while that dries, we can work on his vest or let's do his feet, his boots, since they're not touching anything else that is super wet at the moment. So we're gonna grab the umber. We could probably just mix it with this top blue. I still haven't learned how to say that, so I'm just mixed umber and this top blue. Be very careful that if your bowl is not dry, you want to hold off until it is, or make sure there's a gap between. And the same thing over here. Kind of leaving the buckles out at first. Nice. This has more water than I want, so I just lifted it off and putting it on the paper towel. I think we could do his pants now, which we're gonna use this top blue and honestly just add a tad bit of black and then a little bit of this umber. That way it's a darker blue jean color. We can start here, but be very careful not to go into his arm or into this rope that he's holding on to. Awesome. And I'm just doing that same color. As you can see, as I'm going around, I kind of use the tip of my brush angled out, like outwards, to get those really clean lines. And it's a lot easier to get those clean lines if you have the right amount of water. You don't want too much water, but also when you don't have enough, it's really hard to get those lines as well. So it's a learning curve and you need to be patient with yourself. Just give yourself grace. And if it's not perfect, you can always go over it again. But I like that. I think we could do his belt the same color as his boots, but we're gonna hold off on that until his pants are dry. We could probably do, let's grab this ultramarine and add it to this blue that we already have. And add some water because I want it to be more diluted than the other color. But this can be for his sleeves. Just like that. If you notice there's more water than you would like, it's a great time to pull any of that out. We're gonna do his hair, which is like a dark brown. So we could do just some really, really small light pressure strokes there. And before I forget, we're gonna clean our brush off. And be very careful because I just did the brown. So if you haven't already, I forgot this neck area. that we want to be skin color, and the ear. Just like this. Okay, but now we can grab that brown and do his belt. And also do these straps. I'm gonna grab some of the black and put in this section. Okay, so now that we have that, you could bring in a tiny bit of the black, put it into the blue to have it more of like a gray blue. And that can be your second color on the shirt, or you can add in a little bit of the shadows just on this side, the left side, and then under the arm here, up a little, just like that. I'm gonna leave it. I don't care to blend it. I think that looks really good. And now we're gonna come in and do the helmet and the vest, which are both the same color. And grab this black and add more to it because we want it to be a little darker. It is gonna be the lighter version of the black, so we don't want it super dense. And then we're gonna come back and add more detail with the darker. But we can come in right here. If you wanna leave some white space to show like, oh, zipper's right there, instead of having it be darker, I think that's a great way to do it. Then we have this. The way you utilize the white space, just like letting your paper show through, is actually so fun. Like, I love the little detail of the belt. It's loose. I love seeing the little tiny effect of the zipper. Now we're gonna come in and do the helmet, and you could do the same thing by just leaving a little bit of the, like where the little details are, you could leave white. Dabbing off some of that water so I have more control. But do you see how I have little sections that I've already drawn out for you that could be left as a reflection? There we go. This part right here, I thought was a strap, but it's actually his collar and his shirt. So you could come in and do blue right here, just like that. Same with kind of under here, under his little collar, to show some. Okay, so now that we have this, we are pretty much done. We're gonna do green for the fence. And then we can do the bull's horns, which are gonna be like a gray brown. So you could leave this brown, just get some, like a half of it, and then add in some little bit of gray and leave it diluted. And that could be our base color. Maybe add a little bit of the salmon. I think that looks good. And you can come in and do, leave some white space on the horns. You could even come in with this yellow color if you still have it on your palette and drop some into the bottom of those horns. Just like that. There we go. And his eyes, I feel like could be more just like a similar color in his eyes, like this. You could leave some white, but they don't need to be stark white like that. All right, this here we could grab from the brown that we haven't mixed over here and have him holding on to this rope, this brown rope, just like so. And then this yellow, he has something on his wrist, some type of band. Maybe if you're a rodeo goer, what is this? Is this just a sweatband? What's that for? Is it his number? Like, that's how you know he's up? I don't know. You tell me. He also has a yellow glove on that you could add the same. Just like that. Okay, I think that looks cute. Now we're gonna add a green, and it's kind of, so we're gonna use this middle green, kind of put it right over this brown. And we're gonna add complementary to darken it, which is red. And then a little bit of black, because it's like a deep green. You grab straight green and put it in there as well. I don't want it to be diluted. I want it to be like a rich color. So I'm adding more color than I am water. I think that's great. All right, and here we go. Just using the tip of your brush. And you can do small little strokes, or you could find your pressure that is the width of this and pull it across, and then fill just those little sections that were missed. But really, other than that, there's not a whole lot. You're doing the exact same wash. So let's do that and then meet back and see if there's any finishing touches that we need to do. All right, last little one. Isn't it fun seeing it come together after adding all those colors? I think this turned out so cute. I love it. I hope you're proud of yours. Something you could do if this is looking a little too clean is you could grab like a brown, like a darker brown like this, and like add some mud onto the gate down here like this, just like some dots showing that it's a messy situation. Could do some up here, just like doing some dabs like this on the dirt, kind of where the shadows are. And then while it's still wet, grabbing your brush, cleaning it off mostly, and just pulling that color to where there's more of like a loose vibe to the dirt, kind of like we did before, just with a deeper color. So we're gonna do that here around his hooves. Kind of comes up here. And a little bit along the bottom. With like a little bit of mud kicked up. But I think that looks good. So now, just like I said again, you're cleaning your brush, dab it off on your paper towel. Use the tip of your brush and just kind of like loosely pull that color out. If you're noticing that it's not coming off or blending as much, you could add a little bit more water. And even up here, if you're wanting it to kind of blend in with this, instead of just like really prominent dots on the gate, you can just kind of run your brush over it to show that it's messy, just like so. And that, I think, ladies, is a really fun, cute, beautiful outline that you can hang on your wall if you want to. Thank you, as always, for painting with me. This is so fun for me to be able to share my talents while also like encouraging you to learn more about your watercolor skills and your artistic side. So if you had fun, let me know in the comments or send me a picture of your finished piece because I want to see it. So the next outline we're gonna do together is this, which I've already filmed, and then we'll do this small barn. Have the best day. See you next time.